Hello, my name is Alan, and today I'm facilitating the first of four. Should have been five, but I fell down a flight of stairs last week. So the first of four sessions of what I'm rather grandly calling Rune Seekers of Glorantha. This is a hack, and the players can read this on the Cats tab. This is a hack of World of Dungeons Turbo by John Harper. To help me recreate some of my youthful indulgence in the original second edition RuneQuest back in the early 1980s. I haven't played RuneQuest since 1984, and this has offered something of a rabbit hole that I've tried to resist. So if those of you are tuning into this expecting to see classic Glorantha, you are seeing my recollection of Glorantha some 40 years on. And I was quite old then. I will just run through my Cats document just to make sure that the players and I are all on the same page. We will have a fourth player joining us, I think next week. I think Sabine is busy this couple of weeks. So this is a hack of World of Dungeons Turbo. I came across an earlier hack for Glorantha by someone called Simon D. Hibbs. So I've taken that and run with it. I've tried to update some of the concepts from my recollection of Glorantha, but time changes, time passes. In terms of concept, I don't know how familiar any of the players are with Glorantha, so forgive me if I just indulge in a bit of kind of filling in. The thing about Glorantha, I think, is it's less Tolkien and more Mesopotamia. It's more about the Epic of Gilgamesh than it is about Beowulf. So it is a Bronze Age world, a sword and sandals world. There's a bit of ancient Greece in here. There's a bit of ancient India and the Fertile Crescent. More, as I say, in common with the Greek and Persian epics, perhaps, than with Tolkien. As a framework for this series, I'm using the original, the classic Borderlands, a RuneQuest campaign in 7 scenarios published in 1982. And it's set in what was, I suppose, one of the more popular bits of Glorantha at the time, which is the Praxian wasteland and the River of Cradles. And the playbooks in this game are based off some rune cults, some religious orders or religious cults from Glorantha. And each of the players will take the role of an initiate in a different cult. And all of them have been recruited by the Duke Raus of Rone. Where Rone, the original Rone that the Duke comes from is, we're unclear at this point. Maybe that will emerge. Or if the players want to ask some questions about that, we might have some answers. But it's pretty clear he's been exiled from his lands along with his family, and been sent out into the wasteland to, in effect, create a, inverted commas, a more civilized outpost. We will shortly run through some character generation, which I think should be fairly swift, and find out why exactly our rune seekers have taken up Raus's offer of employment. And then we'll start with a kind of tour of the new domain, where the characters will carry the Duke's banner and justice around the kind of boundaries of his new lands, just to make it known to all comers. In terms of content warning, there is a sense in which there's some colonialism could crop up in this, in as much as this is an outside empire expanding its territory into what it calls wasteland. But we will discover there are some cultures and peoples hereabouts. Some of them, well, I'm not saying anything about them. We'll find out what they're like. And despite that, I want to stress to the players, this is sword and sandals. This is Conan, if you like. This is principally intended as a game about heroes in the making, seeking the favor of their gods while trying to fulfill a contract of employment with the Duke. The characters will need to do some mediation, some confrontation. They'll need to be curious and courageous. They'll need to exemplify the values of their gods if they are to succeed. And while I don't expect the tone to be particularly dark, It is true to say that, in ancient times, and if Glorantha is a version of those ancient times, life could be quite cheap, and something called chaos may lurk in the dark shadows. So it could go dark. I don't expect it to go particularly dark, but we will be using, as in all our community games, a set of layered safety tools to ensure that we all feel comfortable at the table. Now, while I've played with some of the players before, I haven't played with all of them, so I'm going to run through safety tools as I understand them, just so we're all on the same page, and then invite any questions. So we are playing with lines and veils. Lines, for those unfamiliar, are things that we won't see in the fiction. And there is a safety tab in the character keeper, which I'll invite the players to kind of have a look at. And if they put a tick in the lines column, then something will go red on the left-hand side, and we'll know to steer clear of that in the fiction. Veils are things that may crop up in the fiction, but if they do, we'll draw a discrete veil across them. We'll fade to black. They won't appear, inverted commas, on screen. So again, tick the column. There's also a column called Ask First. I'll be honest with the players, if I see an Ask First, I tend to treat it as a bit of a line. I will steer clear of it most of the time. And there's another column called Interested. If there's something you're looking to see in this series, then please put it in that column. And hopefully it'll be in tune with the general feel that we're aiming for. So go ahead, add some lines and veils, look at the ones that there already. If there's already a veil, feel free to upgrade it to a line, and to add any other bits of fiction to the bottom of the list. There's plenty of room to write in some more. Because lines and veils are unlikely to pick up everything that could come up, we're also playing with the X card. Just to say to the players, either type it into the chat, or to be honest, because I'll tend to focus on your faces, the best way to play the X card with me is to kind of show me the X. If you prefer to put it in the chat, that's fine. If I don't notice it immediately and somebody else does, please interrupt me and draw my attention to it. And that X card will just pause the fiction. I won't ask, particularly what's caused you to play the X card, apart from asking you how far back in the fiction you want me to rewind so I can play forward and avoid whatever it was in that little bit of content that you were less comfortable with. And I do want to stress, folks, if something comes up and you think, yeah, I'm fine with that, and it comes up again and you feel less fine with it, then please, just because you didn't play the X card the first time something came up, doesn't mean that you can't play it later on. So, it's all about playing it when you need to play it. And pardon me, and it can be small things. I have had somebody play an X card when I happened to name an NPC. I think it was their brother-in-law, and this NPC started doing some dodgy stuff, and they got a bit uncomfortable about thinking about their brother-in-law in that context. So we just changed the name. Yeah, so it can be anything at all, I want to stress. We are also playing with an open door. And what that means is that, for any of the players, or indeed for me, I suppose, if this turns out not to be the game you thought it was, and you're not having fun, then for goodness sake, folks, the open door is there. I won't be offended if this isn't the game for you. Please go and do something more useful with your day. And finally, we're playing with our community code of conduct, which I sometimes, summarize as "don't be a dick." But it's just play with consideration for one another is our code of conduct. So that's the public service announcement for those people out there in YouTube land, if you ever get to see this. Any questions about any of that, folks? I'll run round. Joe, you okay? Mona, you okay?
Yeah.
Great. Blake, you okay?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Has anyone ever taken interested in cannibalism or dental horror? Like,
No, they haven't. The dental horror is there because someone I play a lot with really doesn't like to. So he likes to have dental horror there to line it. Yeah.
But
No, I've never had anyone want
good.
to recreate the scene from Marathon Man. If that reference goes over your head, folks, look it up. Dustin Hoffman, Laurence Olivier, dentists. Don't go there.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It's all good.
Fine. So let's have a look at character generation then, folks. I think I've covered what I think of as the 7 steps of character generation in that tab. So now some of you expressed an interest in some of the cults in advance. And I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I was interested in Humakt, or however you want to pronounce it, the green one.
So Blake, I think you expressed an interest in Humakt.
Yeah.
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 Mona, I can't remember. Did you express a previous interest?
No.
No. Have you? Does one of those particularly appeal?
I mean, right now I'm thinking Waha.
Waha, fine. Joe, did you had a preference or so, didn't you? But I can't now remember what they were.
Ernalda. Am I saying that right? Ernalda?
Gosh, we are not Gloranthan purists here, right? Otherwise, this thing behind me would say Rune Quest. So no. If anybody out there knows a lot about Glorantha, wear it lightly. So that looks like Waha for Mona. So I would invite each of you to put your name and pronouns into the player name slot. And if you have an illustration in mind, or you want to search for one, there's some inspiration in the safety tab. There's a link to some Pinterest and other stuff. Mona, the thing that the Initiate of Waha needs to do is to pop down to row 29, because there you need to select which of the Praxian tribes you belong to. I've limited it to the major tribes because, rabbit holes. And each one of those will pre-select some different equipment that is culturally appropriate to them. And I put, just for illustrative purposes, on the NPC tab, there are some illustrations that I think are Gloranthanish, and some specific ones around the Praxian tribes, just so you've got some idea what a high llama is, which is a kind of humpless camel. In terms of character name, if again you have a look at the NPC tab, up at the top of the NPC tab, you'll see some, example names. But in order to use that, you really need to skim down to about row 52, which tells you which part of Glorantha you come from. And then, Sarta, Prax, Grazelander, there are some vaguely appropriate names on that NPC tab. So I can hide some of these now, can't I? Let's get rid of this one. I don't know if you're breathing particularly heavily, Blake, but you couldn't mute, could you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, really. And Sabine, our fourth player, was very happy to fit in around other people's choices. So I'll fill them in about that. So, okay, we have an Initiate of Waha, founder of the Praxian tribes. We have an Initiate of Humakt, god of death and war, and an Initiate of Ernalda, Earth Queen and source of life. Brilliant. Next, you each need to choose a complication and a different opportunity. Now, that is down on, it's below that homeland, so it's about row 50, 55, 56. I'm going to come at you in the order going right to left on the screen in front of me. So I'm going to start with Mona. Mona, is there a complication that appeals to you?
Yeah, I want to choose you are subject to a dire prophecy.
Fine. Okay. You are subject to dire prophecy, and in a moment I'll ask you the questions that are attached to that complication.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
make
yeah.
that. Yeah. Let's move along to our Humakti. Do you have a complication in mind for your Grazelander Humakti?
It's like, yeah, you are hunted, but
Fine.
I was thinking, let's
Well,
make it haunted.
I'll come back and ask you some questions about it in a bit. So you are hunted.
Okay.
And finally, our Initiate of Ernalda.
I am thinking you are drawn to a particular place.
Okay. Say where and why when you see it. Okay. And given that our first bit of play is going to be touring the domain, that maybe gives you some hints. But I will let you get around the entire domain before you have to pick. And then let me go back and do opportunity in the reverse order then. So let me start, Joe, with the Initiative Ernalda. What opportunity appeals?
You know what you have to do to put things right. Say what and when you see the opportunity. I'm choosing all of the ones that I can punt the actual answer down the road. So,
That's allowed.
well, plus it's fun to figure it out in play. So,
It is. Okay, let me go to the Grazelander Humakti. Do you have an opportunity in mind for them? Like,
Yeah, you are guided by a prophecy.
oh, right. So somebody subject to one and someone guided by one. No problem. And what about you, Mona? What are you thinking for our I've forgotten which rider you are. A Bison rider.
Yeah, I want to pick you are drawn to a particular place.
Say where and why when you see it. I wonder will it be the same place that because some of them, of course, are complications or opportunities, depending on which way you rub the brush. Okay. So let's go back then, Mona, to the complication. You are subject to a dire prophecy. Say what and how when you sense it is coming to pass. Do you want to give us any hints at this point about the nature of the prophecy?
Give me a bit to think about it, guys.
That's fine. It's just if something comes to you, you don't need to stick to it, but drop the pebble in the pond, and I'll try to kind of drift that way. What about our Humakti? Who or what did you betray?
See, I was thinking I was haunted, like there's an incorporeal sort of undead, so I can't just fight it. I've got to do something to stop this thing from harassing me.
Okay. Well, but I'm still curious who or what you betrayed in order to be haunted by this supernatural entity.
Maybe again, I feel like I betrayed a town because I couldn't kill it. I had to walk away to draw it away from them, and I feel like because I haven't defeated it yet, I've let them down. I've betrayed my oath to my god or whatever.
So are you haunted by the memory of that? Or are you haunted by whatever it was?
Yeah, the
that
latter.
Was threatening them. Okay. Well, will you put something in the space underneath? Will you write something in there just to summarize that, because it sounds like you are guilty of having betrayed that town. Yeah, and that might explain why you're hiding away out here in the middle of nowhere. And you are drawn to a particular place. Say where and why when you see it. Joe, I'm not going to, as I said, let's have a look at the local terrain, which is here behind me. But there is also a map in the character keeper, so you can have some idea where and what you're doing. But then, Joe, you know what you have to do to put things right. Say what when you see that opportunity. Now, you don't have to tell me now. You can say what when you see that opportunity. But do you have any idea of, or is this going to be driven by the place?
I was kind of hoping to just get into play a little bit, and maybe it would appear kind of like that. So I got some stuff bouncing around up in here, so
that's fine, not a problem. Come back around to our Humakti, or are you still in that? Hang on, let's do that to it. There we go. So let's have a look at opportunity. You are guided by a prophecy. Do you want to tell us anything about that?
I was thinking I have to defeat 3 undead, and I'll know them when I hear about them or see them or whatever. It's a kind of vague because it's a prophecy, but yeah, I have to fight 3, and this is like the first one. This one is pissing me off.
I mean, Humakti are very strong on vows. So I'm guessing that you have sworn to defeat 3 undead. Yeah,
it's kind of accept this prophecy, otherwise we're going to cut your head off because they're
fine. If you don't get them, somebody's going to come for you. That's fine. Well, just put a couple of words in that box, just as an aid memoir for both of us, because I will forget exactly what you said within minutes, probably, without having it written down. Mona, again, no pressure. I'm very happy for you to have a look at the local terrain before you tell me if you're drawn to a particular place. Is that okay, or have you got a particular kind of place in mind?
Yeah. I think maybe we should I'll have a better idea after we have played a bit and I actually know where we are and stuff.
Absolutely. Makes perfect sense to me. Okay, so step 3, attributes. Allocate values to wit, might, and grit so they total +1. You can go from -1 to plus. Oh, I suppose we could go from -3 if you really wanted to, but it's the usual kind of PBTA range. Nothing lower than -3, nothing higher than +3. And when you add them together, they should end up at +1. Yeah.
So what is grit exactly?
Okay, so if just for reference, if I point you at the core rules tab, yeah, just so you got some idea. We are using that World of Dungeons, one move does everything. So wit is awareness, knowledge, understanding, intellectual potency, if you will. Might, fighting, athletics, prowess, physical capacity. And then grit is willpower, fortitude, toughness. So it's everything from physical to emotional toughness. Yeah. And there's none of the moves are tied to particular ones. Fairly obviously, if you can confront something violently, you're likely to be in might country. If you're trying to work out what's going on or trying to think your way through a problem, then you're in wit country. And generally speaking, if you're confronted by creatures of chaos, for instance, then you're likely to be in grit country. Yeah. And I think the drop downs should give you the right range options. Okay, so I'm seeing Delenda, the Initiate of Waha, and Bison Rider. Wit 0, might 0, grit +1. Okay, I'm seeing Jandetin, who is a he, him. Delenda, I should have said she, her. Jandetin, he, him. I'm seeing +1 wit, +1 might, -1 grit. Maybe that's why he ran away from the undead and abandoned that town. And finally, I'm seeing Inkarne, the Initiate of Ernalda. He's looking at Wit 0, Might 0, Grit 1. Oh, we've got a mirroring of our Bison Rider and our Initiate of Ernalda. That's okay.
I'm still
Oh, you
fiddling,
still.
but yeah, but I'm fine. So
Let me just say to all of you, you know, if once we get playing, you think, oh, that was a stupid thing to do, and you want to shuffle them, I have no problem with that. You know, if as long as they settle down early in the next session, I won't be getting, you know, I won't turn nasty.
Blake, is that who I think it is?
Say again?
He was a thief from Conan the Barbarian. He worshipped the god of the wind or air.
Yeah, you
I
cry
thought, yep.
for him because you cry because he cannot cry for himself.
Oh wow, that is a deep cut.
It's one of my favorite parts of the movie.
Okay, so next step, skills. The experience system in this game is really simple, right? You complete one of the missions the Duke sets you, you gain an XP. And as XPs go up, your level will automatically go up. But as currently you are level 1 with no XP, and you get what's called your cult skill, which in the case of Delenda, the Bison Rider, is unsurprisingly riding a bison. In the case of our Humakti, given their kind of death and war connotations, it's hand-to-hand. And in the case of Inkarne, the Initiative of Ernalda, it is survival, wilderness survival, because source of life, earth, fertility, plants, animals, all that stuff. Yeah. But you also get another skill, whichever one you want. Now, the way that skills work in this simplified system is that it means that you are less, you can't really fail. If you're doing something that your skill applies to, you can't really fail. And again, I'll point you at the core rules where it says there's a take action move, which is pretty much everything. And then if you have a relevant skill when you take action and one of your skills is, oh, that's a bit repetitive. A 6- becomes a 7 to 9, and any 7+ grants an extra choice from the take action success list. Yeah. So basically it means that you're not going to fail at those things. You know, any questions about what the skill comprises, I'm very happy to, but I'll be reading them pretty loosely, okay? Everyone can do everything, of course. Okay, Delenda, you are opting into survival. What are you thinking? Inkarne? Or Jandetin?
I'm thinking either tracking or ranged weapons. I'm leaning towards the whole, I don't want to use the word druidy, rangery, but kind of the leaning into that sort of nature, given what they are. But
yeah, that's fine.
What you said about whatever skills you're choosing, kind of almost guarantee some form of success. Is causing me to think about, like, you know, what you, as you paint what you want them to be good at, right? So
exactly. What are you thinking, Blake, for Jandetin? Awareness.
Yeah, I'm thinking awareness, because he's not like super warrior, but he's aware enough to stay alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes it even more frustrating. He can't kill this friggin' thing.
Now, the only thing I'd say, Delenda, Mona, is that you've taken survival there. Survival's already on the table in the sense that it's Ernalda's cult skill. So you might be sharing a bit of spotlight there.
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking because like the code for Waha specifically says to honor Waha by challenging the wild for survival.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Then we're down here. Oh yes, heirloom. I think that's next. Oh no, rune spells. Oh no, let's do that. We might as well get the heirloom out of the way as it's next down. So each of you needs to choose a different heirloom. So I think I've started with Mona, I've started with Joe. I now start with Blake. Blake, which heirloom would you like? And feel free to ask what any of that means.
Yeah, I can't see him having most of it. He's thinking, I'm sort of picturing him on his horse, and it's like, necklace with counterspell spirit magic. Okay, cool.
Necklace
so maybe that's why.
Go on.
So maybe that's why he hasn't been like possessed or anything. It's what's protected him. So maybe like the spirit's frustrated with him and he's frustrated with it. They're having trouble getting at each other and they keep.
Okay.
Got an ongoing nemesis.
And spirit magic, use once, and it comes back after sunrise tomorrow. Yeah. And what that would do would counter someone casting spirit magic at you. Yeah. It's a kind of magic defense of sorts. Right. Let me go. Joe, Inkarne, got an idea for the heirloom?
Yeah, I was going to, in the spirit of everything I've done, is the ancient gold serpent armband with beast speak spirit magic.
And beast speak will allow you to speak. Well, what does it say? Yeah, allow you to speak with a beast. Mona, what about Delenda?
Let me see. Yeah, I think I'm just going to take a finely made hand-to-hand weapon.
Fine. Is that going to be your broadsword or your lance? You might want to just make a note in the note section right down the bottom, whether that's going to be broadsword
Yeah. Okay.
or lance. Yeah, I mean, that seems perfect, doesn't it? Right. Rune spell. Everyone gets a rune spell. This is a spell granted by your god. A kind of it's an example of divine intervention by your god. And you'll see that as an initiate, you just get the top one. I can't remember if there's much overlap in these, but I'm going to start with Mona. Do you have a thought about which rune spell you want?
Yeah, I'm going to pick Skin Changer.
Ooh, say no more. And I'm curious, is it half bison?
Probably not.
That would just frighten all the bison. Yeah. Okay. So again, if you want to make a decision about that in play, I'm very happy. +1 might, intimate close, and awareness until the end of the scene where you make the change. Fine. What about our Humakti?
Sorry, so I'm pulling down the list next to the word rune spell, and it's got 2 there. So I'm picking one of those.
You are.
Well, I don't think I've got True Blade because I can't see shield. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Okay. +1 armor, +1 resist magic. All right.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
Yes, it's a magical shield rather than a shield.
Hang on. Well, then I've kind of doubled down on All right, I might go True Blade then.
Oh, no, sorry. Let me be clear. It is a shield against physical attack. It is not a physical shield.
Right. Okay.
It's a
well,
spell
that's still...
that mirrors the idea of, it's a
So
kind
I've got 2 types of protection.
One against
okay,
magic,
which is one.
one
Yep,
against, yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool.
What about what is Ernalda granting Inkarne?
So, I had a bit of a question.
Go on.
I'm seeing based on the choices here that Ernalda, the there's a lot of healing stuff in here, right? And so
Yeah.
I had a question about I wasn't really clear on how harm and whatnot is handled. So
Okay.
maybe you could kind of explain that a little bit.
Happy to. Can you see up at there at the top on around, I'm looking at row 1819. Everyone starts with health 10.
Okay.
Yeah. You can increase that by taking the tough skill, which will add 4 to that. Yeah, so maybe I should have said that before I asked you what your first level skill was. So if you want more than 10 health, you need to have selected as your skill tough. And yeah, it comes down basically, light weapons do 1 harm to you. Ordinary weapons do 2 harm for you. If we get into big 2-handed hack and slashy things, that could do 3 harm to you. Yeah. Okay. What actually gets through, you subtract either light armor, heavy armor, or shield, and we'll look at your gear in a bit. Is that okay?
Yeah. So yeah, because the reason I'm asking is because there's a heal under spirit magic, and then they also have sort of a heavier duty heal, and I was just trying to gauge which one. So I think based on that, I am going for the rune spell. I am going to choose Earthquake.
Fine. And again, folks, if in play you think that's not really working for me, I'm very happy across these first couple of sessions to just shuffle the selections you make, because stuff happens. So we've got skin changer, shield, and earthquake. Fine. That takes me down to gear and spirit magic. You have 10 coins worth of equipment, right? And you will see there is a gear list which tells you what stuff costs. And one of the things that you can buy is spirit magic. You pay a priest, they give you a tattoo, they give you an item, they give you a necklace with a spirit attached to it. So the question is, how much of the equipment that's already on your gear list do you want, and can you afford it? And that will also tell us what your load is. So to illustrate, let me go back to starting with Joe, Inkarne. You could have broadsword, dagger, shield, bow, light armor, heavy armor, whatever you like. Looking at the gear list, what do you want to tick? I mean, heavy armor is going to cost you all 10.
Yeah, no, I want light armor. Light armor. Let me look at a bow. That's 5. And the broadsword.
Okay, which is another, I'm looking for heavy weapon, another 2. So you're spending 7. Yeah? Is that?
Yes. Okay.
So that will lead you to tick then. Light armor, I'm doing it to illustrate. Yeah? 2 boxes, broadsword and bow. Fair enough?
All right. So where does that leave me from a load perspective?
Okay, so you've ticked 4 boxes there, yeah?
Yeah.
If you look down the bottom, you'll see load, light load, 1 to 3 boxes, normal load, 4 to 5 boxes. So I would be ticking you there. With me?
Yeah. Okay.
And so far, to illustrate, you have 3 coin remaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, perfect. I was trying to stay in light load, but I don't think I see how that's going to be.
You have to be pretty light to be that nimble.
Okay.
Those
No, I'm good.
broadswords are really clumsy, you know?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think maybe if I step away from broadsword, thematically,
And go dagger.
yeah, but it's not going to change the load, right? That's not, or so. All right, I'll think
about it. Think about it. Until you use it, you can always discount it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. What about our Humakti?
Yeah, because from what I've read of Grazelanders, they're kind of Mongol. They live in a saddle and they got bows. So
yeah,
I think I'll go short bow and light armor.
It's just light armor is going to tick both those boxes, just so you know.
Oh, okay. Yep. And that would be light load since it's...
That's light.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's 5 coin.
That's 5 spent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Mona, what about Delenda?
Do I need to pay for the like riding animal to start?
No, not at all.
Because...
No. Your riding animal is each of you is either given a riding animal by the Duke in the case of Inkarne, has a Grazelander pony in the case of our Humakti, or in your case, you come with a bison.
Okay, and I don't have to pay for the air rune either, right?
No.
Yes,
that's free and easy.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to have light armor. So that's 3. Where do I check that? Is there a... Oh, I see. Light armor and web shield.
Now, the thing I need to point out about your bison, because your bison is built, it's a big animal. You can have some stuff on the bison. So you know, when you get off the bison, you may be carrying less or choosing particular pieces of equipment depending on where you get off the bison.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I will at least get a shield too, because...
Okay. Now I'm going to tick that second box next to light, because light armor takes up 2. And then heavy takes up 2 more. And that shield is only going to cost you protection, shield, another 1. So you've only spent 4 so far.
Yeah, I think that's enough for now.
Okay, so then the broadsword will take another 2, knocking you down to 4 coin in hand, I think. Blake, can you... Yeah, thank you. Okay, there we go.
Hey, Alan, could I how if you wanted to have additional spirit magic, how much gold is that?
3 coin per spell.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going next. Anything you've got left, and you know, the deal with the Duke is bed and breakfast, evening meal, all found. You don't have to worry about, you know, surviving, unless you're particularly keen to go collect some goodies from the environment. So yeah, 3 coin will buy you any spirit magic on the block.
And just for clarification, you said the way spirit magic works, it's essentially once per day.
Yeah. The spirit does its thing, and then it has the rest of the day off until Yelm, the sun, rises and re-empowers the connection between the spirit and you.
Okay. So the absorb spirit magic would act as one armor, essentially, but only once per day.
Exactly so.
All right. So I think, well, I'm thinking about doing that and then getting rid of the light armor, which could get me
Okay.
down to the so what I would call it, light load.
Yeah, you could do that. And who's going to attack you more than once?
Who indeed, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, because if you swapped out the light armor for just a shield, that would still keep you in the 1 to 3, but you would have one permanent piece of protection from the shield.
Oh, you're right.
See what I mean?
Yes, I do.
And I think on balance, that'll probably give you back 2 coin.
Right. So I'll look at that again. So add that up. So broadsword, shield, and bow. Broadsword was 2. Shield is 1, so that's 3. Bow is 2, 4, 5, and then the up to 8 with this spirit, with 8 with the spirit thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that should leave you 2 in hand.
Yep.
Okay.
And if I drop the shield, I could actually get another spirit magic.
Well, you can have multiple absorbs. You have the same spell over and over again. You know, these priests will sell you anything.
All right, I'm good.
Okay. What am I looking at here for our I'm just going to do a bit of freeze if I can. Hang on, view, freeze. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, I see. Right. Hang on, how do I do that one? I wonder why I couldn't freeze that. Freeze. Oh, 5. There we go. Right. So what about Jandetin the Humakti? Light armor, bow and arrows, and leap. You can leap upwards or across a barrier, perhaps onto a roof or a building or over a wall or chasm and land safely. Yeah? Yeah. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 coin in pocket. And heal, restore 1d6 health to yourself or another with a touch. Yeah, I think that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1 coin in hand. So I think that we're ready to rock, actually. Which is
just for clarification, I dropped the shield and added another spirit magic, so now I'm done.
Now you don't care about protecting yourself as you have heal.
Right.
I understand. You want to keep your distance and use that bow. Sorry, it says bow there. It should say bow and arrow. Don't worry. You know, I think that's just my typographicals. Fine. Well, look, that is very convenient because it is 4 minutes to the hour. I'm going to suggest we take our first break. I would quite like to have a cup of tea, so I'm going to suggest a 10-minute break for this first one, and then we'll have another 5-1 in about an hour's time, and that'll see us through probably. So see you back here at just after 5 past the hour, okay?
Yeah,
see you then. I'll pause the recording. Okay, so I think we probably open on a montage of the 3 of you and a kind of a set of mules, supply mules, and another rider heading across something called the Long Dry, The long dry is sand and scrub desert. And I just want to have an opportunity to see a bit of interaction, I think, between the characters. So, and the other thing, could I ask you to rename yourself as your character? Because that will help me begin to place your face and them. But I'm wondering, whoever gets done first gets asked first. That looks like Jandetin. So Jandetin, you got the typing done first, so obviously the gods favor you. So Jandetin, which of the other two characters do you want to have a conversation with? During which maybe we learn something about you, learn something about them. I don't know.
I'm gonna pick up Mona. So Delenda.
So there we go. The camera zooms in. The two of you are. There's this big bison and this Grazelander pony. Talk away, Jandetin.
So where did you learn to fight? What was the first thing you fight when you knew, this was the path for you?
I was trained to fight by my tribe since I was little. The first thing I killed was a bear.
Like a little bear cub, or what?
A bear.
That's quite impressive. Bear's a ferocious beast. Are you protecting your horse, or?
Horse.
I was left in the. We have mountains, right?
Yeah, there are mountains and hills away to the east where the Praxian nomads are to be found. Yeah.
I was left in the mountains as part of my rite of passage.
That is an impressive first kill. Bears are a difficult foe.
It was perfectly safe. I'm sure the elders are watching somewhere. And if they weren't, it's because they are confident.
I had to train every day. And we went on a hunt and I shot down an eagle as it was grabbing a salmon in the hills. And then the training continued. We still practiced every day. That is the way of Humakt.
An eagle is a nimble beast. It's not easy to kill.
No. Although I did feel sad to take such a powerful creature from, it seemed a waste. It would be nice to fly. I think it's an interesting thing creatures can do.
So you should honor that sacrifice by remembering their power and use it for yourself.
Perhaps you're right. I'll think about this.
Is that cut? Okay. Let me go next to Delenda. Delenda, we've had a chat with Jandetin. I'm quite interested in how Inkarne and you relate. Do you want to start that conversation?
I mean, I'm a little unsure, like how long have we been working together and stuff like that? Because
what do you want? Do you want to know Inkarne well, or do you want her to be a stranger?
No, I'm just not sure. Like, what's our assumption? Like, do we know where each of us are from, or like, do we know what our? Yeah, because like I'm not sure what's. Let me see.
I think we'd have some idea by the way we dress and our accents and that, because we're not like from another continent or anything. We were all from the region.
Yeah, so I think you're familiar with, you can spot people. Usually cult associations are marked either with symbols or often tattoos of the runes associated. So, Inkarne probably has clearly displayed some tattoos showing earth renewal and harmony. You are probably wearing the runes of death, beast, and man. And Humaktis are notoriously limited in their consideration, so they just have the two runes, death and truth. So I think you're probably very well aware of your cult connections. Accent is likely to give you some idea of where people come from. In terms of the Praxians, both of these people are from the West, beyond Prax. They're from outside Prax. But I'm very, if you lot want to have some history together, I'm very happy for you to have some history together, or you can be relatively strange, relatively new.
That's fine. I was just wondering. I think maybe I would just like continue the same topic. So I think maybe I turn to Inkarne and I ask, what about you? What was the first thing you ever killed?
Really quickly, Alan, before I get into that, would Ernalda, I'm trying to place myself would they, it's all about exploring the world in their life. Would they be against that, or would they be like okay with it based on, you have to survive, right?
Absolutely. I don't think there's no kind of nothing against killing, because you have to survive. But it's about balance, I think, for Ernalda. It's about the cycle of renewal. So maybe you wouldn't kill a cub, but you might kill an adult.
Right.
You might kill an eagle in flight, but not a nestling.
Okay.
Yeah?
Perfect.
Does that help?
Yeah. So we learned to hunt to survive early. And my first kill was a deer. To feed the tribe, to feed our tribe. Is that right? I mean, whatever, to feed our tribe. But I honor your words of wisdom, and agree that while we must kill to survive, we must kill to eat, but we should honor the sacrifice that that nature gives us, and I honor your wise words there, Delenda.
Yeah. That's fine. I think I will ask, like, so what was the weapon you used? Did you use a sword or a bow, or because I think I see like you are the only one who is carrying both like a ranged weapon and a melee weapon. Yeah, so I'm curious.
In my tribe, we hunt with the bow.
Our tribe has archers too, but I'm afraid I have not been I'm not adept in the use of them.
Well, I prefer the bow to the sword, so I think we make good companions in that perspective, from that perspective.
Yes, indeed. I hope this brings us good fortune in our adventure.
I like that. And that does fit rather nicely, Joe. People of Old Tarsh. Tarsh was one of the early conquests of the Great Lunar Empire. And the Old Tarsh is really a fairly desolate wilderness of outcasts. on the fringe of the Empire, trying to live a free life away from the Empire, but always threatened by it. So the idea of you know, hunting, that works very nicely. What about Inkarne and Jandetin? Any conversation to be had there?
Yeah, I think if Blake's okay with it, like I think Inkarne would continue as well along this line of um, kind of getting to know him through their sort of this and would um I've heard the tales of the prowess of your people and look forward to while I ride well the stories of your people and their prowess on horseback are legendary, and I look forward to being able to learn perhaps from you on our journey.
Well, I will teach you what I can, and I look forward to showing you how legendary I truly am. Did you, for your kill, was that a right to give you the right to marry, or to a right to own property, or to produce children, or was it just becoming an adult? What did it enable you to do?
Where I am from, all must bring value to the tribe, and early, if you cannot bring value to the tribe through hunting or other means and bringing food, then you cannot, we can't, where I'm from, we don't have luxury, we don't have these things, and so early on you must learn to where you bring value to the tribe. And I had natural skills in the wilderness, and so it was merely who we are and what we do, to stay part of the tribe.
It's similar for us. We are all trained to ride, we are all trained to fight. There is no other choice. We would want no other choice.
Scene?
Yep.
The fourth member of the group is the man who recruited you. And there's a picture of Dane, swordmaster to House Rone, on the NPC tab. He's a burly, fair-haired, fair-skinned man. He's wearing a floppy hat because the sun out here is not good for him. And I guess we might then have a little kind of bit on the bottom of the screen that says 2 days earlier, ... So we are going to flash back to your recruitment by Dane in the town or city, depending on what your scale is, of Pavis. 2 days across the desert behind you. Pavis is I'm thinking adobe mud brick buildings. It's dusty, it's hot, it's the end of the sea season, start of the fire season, so temperatures are beginning to climb into the 40s centigrade. You'll have to help me, Joe, with what that means in Fahrenheit. But it's hot. Oh, yes, thank you. So it's going to get hot over the next couple of weeks. And Dane sets out his stall in the marketplace. He plants a standard and loudly announces that he's recruiting good people to the employment of Duke Raus of Rone. Delenda, did you sign up straight away? Or did you try to find out something about the people you were going to be working for?
Yeah, I think I was more interested in what the work is than who I'm working with. So I think I would ask like, what is the nature of the employment? Like, where will we be going? What will we be doing?
And Dane says, well, it'll be not easy work. The Duke has brought 20 troops from our homeland to garrison Rone Fort. But I need some people to work for me in a kind of, I'm looking for people who can sort out things, who can solve problems, who can address trouble when it arises, because I can't do all of that myself for my Lord the Duke. So, for instance, you sign on today, we travel from here to Horngate, you get paid in advance, the Duke gets to have a look at you, and if he likes the look of you, we'll swear you in. And the first thing I want you to do, it's really simple. I just need you to kind of ride the boundaries of his new domain, just show the flag, and you know, if somebody needs justice, you provide the Duke's justice. Because if I like you and he likes you, then we'll trust you with that. So that's the kind of work. You interested? I won't force you to say yes or no to that, Kat. What about Inkarne? You see the pitch. Inkarne, what is there anything you want to know about these potential employers?
I don't think so. I think Inkarne has come here because she was given a vision or in a dream from Ernalda about something about where they're going. Something about it appeared to her but vague, right? And so she knows, so she's drawn broadly to this and pretty much signs up sight unseen. Because,
well, I mean, let's just explore that for a moment. Is it something about Dane? Is it something about the standard that he's planted in the marketplace? What is it that kind of makes that kind of, oh, this seems, have I seen this before? Have I, what is it?
Yeah, so I was I think that okay. So I was reading the description of Dane. So I think she was in this marketplace and hears him and notices Dane. And in her dream, she had a vision of an iron sword. And she's just kind of, in the marketplace and then sees his iron sword and believes in, there are no coincidences, right? These are all signs and omens. And so she sees that and is drawn to that. And so she knows she's being drawn towards this. So
sight unseen, no questions asked. This is the bearer of an iron sword, which is very rare, right? This is a Bronze Age culture.
Yep.
Iron is rare. Iron weapons are incredibly rare. An iron sword is typically connected to Humakt, which is a really good segue to Jandetin.
I think he comes running up and kind of skids and say, I hear you looking for help.
I am, lad. What makes you think you can provide it?
Well, I heard it's dangerous work, and you'll be proud to see the prowess that I can provide. And he's sort of standing tall, but one of his hands is actually shaking, and his other hand's holding it to keep it still. Because I think this is a town he's fleeing from, that he needs to flee from.
Okay. So
he'll kind of interrupt mid-spiel and just, I'm happy to sign on, let's go.
So it's someone or something in Pavis that's the problem behind him.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any outward sign of your cult connection to Humakt, Jandetin, or is that something you're keeping quiet?
Oh, he's got a necklace with counterspells, so I've got to presume that's going to have some sort of Humakt sort of emblems on it.
Well, Does it have the death rune or the truth rune?
Probably death.
That would just be very much in keeping with what we know about Jandetin so far. And Dane kind of just taps it as it hangs there around your neck and says, "What does that mean to you, boy?"
That means I will not fear death, and I will bring it to the restless spirits who need to be put down.
And he draws his sword, but he holds it by the top of the blade. So, of course, it resembles that death rune. He says, "Put your hand on this, boy."
All right. Hand on it.
Now, what's the real story?
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll say I'll show you my prowess, as I said.
Yeah, but why do you want this job?
I need.
Exactly. I think. Are you going to lie to him, or are you going to tell him the truth?
But you were saying these blades are kind of special to my church, so no, I don't think I'm going to lie to him.
So you spill?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll say, like, I think this job is part of me dealing with this, defeating this spirit, because I can't do it with just fighting. This is part of the path I need to take.
You will, in the end, have to fight it.
And I hope to, but my attempts so far have not been successful. But I want to keep going and prove myself to Humakt.
Okay, I'll take you. Let me go back round to Delenda. Delenda, he told you what the pitch was. Do you have any other questions? I mean, we know you're going to sign on because we flash back to this, but is there anything else you want to know?
Yeah, no. I think I just say, well, you will need a good rider and guide for these lands, otherwise you won't make it. Fine, count me in.
I could do with some local knowledge. That is true, Bison Rider. So I'm pleased to take you. And we know Inkarne is, all in. See the sword, join the group. Fine. Flash forward back to you making your way across the long dry. And in the distance, through the heat haze, we'll see some structures, some buildings as you approach. And it's not a city, but it's bigger than a village. This is the oasis at Horngate. And you will see that there's quite a large group of military, of soldiers, maybe as many as 10 or 15. And what appears to be a kind of palanquin, one of those kind of movable shades has been set up. And under that is seated the man that you will find on the NPC tab labeled Duke Raus of Rone. And it looks like anyone who's anyone in Horngate is presenting themselves to the Duke. And he's a serious-minded kind of guy. When I first ran this in 1982 or so, very fresh in my mind was Duke Leto Atreides. And there's something of the honorable man in a difficult situation about the Duke. And again, I would say tough but fair. Did you ask any questions about him before you left Pavis? Jandetin, what about you? Did you ask any questions about the Duke or what the word on the street was?
Is he a perfume sort of messenger boy, or has he earned his stripes? Has he fought? What's his military? What's his prowess, sort of thing?
Right. What I was looking for was an excuse for a low-stakes engagement with the mechanics. So I think that this is where do we find you asking that question, Jandetin?
On the
in
way,
Pavis?
maybe if we camped at one night or something, would have asked Dane.
Okay. So that sounds like a kind of polite approach, doesn't it? Yeah. Trying to make sure that you don't offend. I think that's probably wit. So let's have you roll 2d6 plus wit. The link to the dice room is on the safety tab.
Yep. What's my wit +1? Okay, so. And 1, so. 8.
8. So on 7 plus, you succeed and choose one from the list. Gain +1, like we asked another seeker, mark 1 second on the clock, avoid a narrative consequence, avoid one harm from a threat. It strikes me there should be another bullet point there, which is get an answer to a question. So forgive me for not having typed that in advance. So yeah, I think that what you will learn is what you'd expect from a loyal retainer. You almost get a sense that Dane hero worships the Duke. He saved his life in battle.
Okay, yeah. So
and his family has served Rone for generations.
Right. But that wouldn't happen if the guy wasn't worthy. So that's kind of an answer in itself, what he's like. So yeah, no, that's
okay.
Cool.
Okay. Inkarne, what about you? Did you make any effort to find out anything about the Duke before you left Pavis? I mean, you kind of signed on sight unseen, but I'm just curious.
Quickly, I have a mechanical question before I answer that question. Would just trying to get a lay of the land on the mechanics. So he Jandetin has the awareness skill. Would that have been something that would have come into play in that particular scene about observation, learning things, where he could get where it would like bump that up? And I'm not trying to game it, right? I just
no.
Understand the mechanics of that.
I think probably not, because if you look at the skills of Magic Tab, awareness, perceptiveness, observation, noticing and searching for things. Okay. I think it's more a scouty thing than a kind of conversational gambit. Persuasion might have been relevant in that context.
Right. It's kind of tangential to it, but not close enough.
I think so.
Just trying to get a
no, that's fine.
Yeah, so I think but not exactly as much about. I would sense that she wants to understand, and maybe she's asking. So on the journey across to Horn's Gate, it's just the 4 of us, right?
Yeah, and a string of pack mules.
So I think maybe even before they left, she would be asking around that small village or whatever they were at around about what people know of the area and the Duke and why he's there and those sort of things. So.
Then let's have you roll just to engage a mechanic. Again, I think it's how do you come at this? Where are you asking a rough part of town, or is it a social event? Are you in a bar? Give me a context so I know which of the attributes is at play.
I think probably in like a bar type. I don't even want to use the word tavern, right? Because now but you know what I mean. Like, let's just say in a bar in wherever they're staying.
Okay, well then I think probably it doesn't sound like you're arm wrestling someone to get their respect. It doesn't sound like you're threatening someone. So I'm going to go with wit.
No. I think the approach is just asking people, almost maybe naively, right? Just very openly, not really,
So roll with wit.
Okay. Oh, what was my roll? Oh, snake eyes.
Wow. So oh wow. Oh, that I wasn't expecting that so early on. So, on a miss, you fail and things turn out badly. The GM will describe the consequences. Would you mark 1 health? Because you clearly asked the wrong person and you're still nursing those bruises.
Perfect.
Yeah. But you did get a sense that, you know, that what has previously been called the Vice domain, what is now Rone County or whatever he's going to call it, it is the arse end of the world. It is, you know, and this Duke guy, poof, you know, he's been sent out here to be forgotten. So you don't get a very positive view out of where you're going out of that. Okay, as well as a bruise.
Okay, so given so he serves. I'm just trying to. So the Duke serves the Lunar Empire. He's a noble is in the Lunar Empire. So my understanding is, you know, we Old Tarshites hate the Lunar Empire. So, you know,
you are very prepared to believe the worst.
Right. So, but like if he's been exiled out here, that means maybe more friend than foe or like, you know, okay. Perfect.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And you know, just give you some sense of the context here. This is like a Roman senator being sent to Hadrian's Wall.
Right.
You know, go and sort out a bit of civilization at the edge of the empire, would you? I've asked who haven't I asked about the Duke? Have I asked you, Delenda? I've forgotten. God, you see, I had it now. I'm useless.
No, I don't think you have.
Fine. So, Delenda, do you want to describe a scene where you were trying to find out some stuff about the guy that you've now seen for the first time? Or not, you know, no pressure.
Yeah, I think I would want to know like more like what he is like his goal, because like we know what the job is about, but like I think I would want to know like if he has like a larger, like if this is part of a larger plan, or like what does he actually want to achieve? Like, does he want to get back to like where he was? Does he want to build something here? Is he gathering resources for something else? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, spot on. So in what context do we see you asking those kind of questions? You know, is this from, I don't know, the city guard? Do you seek out somebody, you know, a lawyer or scribe to see if they know anything? Who's the other person? Who are you asking and how?
Yeah, I think I'm going to use like the good old I'm going to go drinking and talk to people in a bar.
Fine. I think that probably is. It's probably. I'm going to go with might just for variety, because I think is trying to get in with some people who might know about this stuff. Maybe people who've turned down the opportunity to work for him, or people who wish that they'd got the job. So let's have you roll with might.
Let me find the. Yeah, I see the dice roll.
I mean, it can't possibly be Snake Eyes again. That would be just malicious. Oh no! Okay. Look at that. So on an 11, because in this there is a 12 plus outcome. So you know, pretty close. On a 10 plus. On 7 plus succeed, you get to ask me one question. On 10 plus, ask me two. So the first question, what's the context for this is, I think, what you're teasing at.
Yeah.
I think, you know, no one quite uses the word exile, but it's pretty clear that this is supposed to be a one-way ticket. he's been sent here for something that happened back within the Empire. And the consensus seems to be that he is an honorable man, badly treated. Does that seem fair as a first bit of context?
Yeah.
In terms of his broader plans, Dane was in here, his swordmaster was in here a few days ago talking up what the plan is. And they're going to make a success of this. You know, they may be on the fringes of the Empire, not in the heart of the Empire. But from what he was saying, you know, they've begun building a fort down there. They're here to stay. This is about a new dynasty or a new home for an old dynasty.
So they are taking this seriously. They are not just trying to get enough, like, good grace to go back to like the ways things were for them.
No, I think they are here to make as big a success of this as they can. That's certainly the way Dane sees it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, back to Horngate, where the Duke. Now you're lined up in front of the Duke, and there's a slight haughtiness about him. You know, he is an aristocrat, and Dane introduces each of you in turn. Particularly interested in Delenda, because you know you are a Praxian, you are a local, and Dane really sells that hard to the Duke, who kind of looks at you and says, yes, I can see the value of that, Dane. It's almost like he's assessing you based on just looking at you and what Dane says to him. Dane's opinion is clearly really important to him. He moves on to Inkarne. She says that, you know, she's good with a bow, not a local, but from the trip over, she's got a good sense of the land. I think she'll be useful as a scout. Looks down his nose at you. Inkarne, what's the thing that makes him frown about you?
So I think she's still sporting a shiner from the conflict. I kind of like the idea that perhaps, given where she came from, or whatever, that she couldn't handle she went into that pub or whatever and couldn't really handle her drink, right? And that's what got her into the mess that she got into. And then she is heavily tattooed with the signs of Ernalda, and her spirit magic are also all going to be tattoos. So she's kind of heavily tattooed, probably represents uncivilized in the minds of and probably the old Tarshite. She probably is she might be sneering a little bit, or she might also be looking a little haughty, right? So she's puffed up a little, with the pride of who she is and who her people are.
And Dane will probably comment on that. He say, she's Tarshite, but she was keen to enlist. That's all I can say, my lord. Keen to enlist. Comes down to Jandetin. What is it that most attracts the Duke to you? What gets a wry smile or a kind of rise of the eyebrow that looks favorable on the part of when he comes to Jandetin? Either something Dane says or something he sees.
I think he, in the tradition of his people, he'll put his sword down and he'll say, "You admire my prowess," as he's laying at his feet with his arms out, just to say, "I am, your dedicated sword warrior."
You do know you don't have a sword, don't you?
No. Okay, well, yeah, it would be my bow, and then
yeah,
prostrate laying.
Fine. And the Duke turns to Dane and says, "Is he one of yours?" And Dane says, "Yes, my lord, he is. Though I've yet to," yes, the metaphorical sword, yes, yes, but I cannot speak for the prowess he claims yet. But we live in hope, don't we? And by then he's got to the end of the line, and he's just looking at where your mounts are located. And the one that Inkarne is riding has the Rone kind of brand on it, because you don't come with a horse. But he's interested in the Bison Delenda. And he says, can I get close to that? And Dane looks at you, Delenda. Can the Duke get close to your Bison?
Yeah, I think I say yes, but be careful to not spook him. They may be gentle creature, but they are more dangerous than any wild beast when enraged.
And he turns to Dane and says, I'm glad we never faced that in a cavalry charge, aren't you? And he goes from there. He sees the Grazelander pony, which are, they're kind of stocky. You're right to pitch the idea of the kind of steppe nomad for the Grazelanders. What is he suspicious of in terms of this pony, whether, compared to his own breeding stock?
Well, it's a bit short. It's not going to be able to run too fast.
I mean, does that carry through to you? Are ponies built for Grazelanders and Grazelanders built for ponies? Is there a sense in which you're shorter and stockier, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking he's only like 5'6", 5'8" or something, and yeah.
Whereas the benefits of an aristocratic lunar diet place him, and you can see him sizing up just how long the stirrups would need to be were he to mount it. And he says, very well, Dane. No, I approve your selection. Swear them in, and then we'll see how they do on their first mission. Agreed? Yes, my lord. And the Duke goes back to dealing with Horngate, who it's his nearest source of supply. He's negotiating regular supply caravans and stuff like that with the locals, while Dane takes you under this awning that they've set up to shade the Duke, and he unrolls a parchment map across the seat that the Duke was stood on, and he kneels down in front of it and says, gather round. And if I take you to the map tab, yeah, on the left-hand side of the map tab is the kind of bigger country. So you'll see that up there, about more than halfway up on the right-hand side, you'll see Pavis, where you were recruited. You'll see down about 3/4 of the way down on the right-hand side, you'll see Horngate, where you are now. And Horngate is also on the bigger map. Yeah, so you'll find it. There's a big sign saying Agimori, and then down a little bit is Horngate. That's where you are now. And so Dane says, you're going to ride the bounds of the domain. We've been here several months, but until I had some reliable people, we've kind of stuck to the fort. What I want you to do is to take this, and he gestures to the banner that he put up in the marketplace in Pavis. So I want you to take a trip around the edge of the domain. So you're going to start here, and I think I might actually share the screen at this point, just so we know what we're all on the same page. Fingers crossed, any moment now. Aha, you should be seeing my mouse moving on my screen. So here you are at Horngate. He wants to begin by sending you up here to the edge of the range of the Agimori. The Agimori are not a populous tribe, but they could be an important tribe. The words, local knowledge, and I think, Delenda, you can confirm this, the Agimori are some of the most potent infantry in the vicinity. They might well, if we could recruit them, if we could gain some kind of alliance with them, then that could be very helpful going forward. So I want you to take the banner from here at Horngate. We understand there are some caves above Vicecut. Apparently there's a group of Agimori who regularly spend time there. So I'm hoping you'll be able to carry the banner there and make the Duke's case. You know, I don't expect you to be recruiting people. Don't overstep yourself. Just make known that Duke Raus of Rone now holds these lands. The Agimori range is north of here, so there shouldn't be a matter of conflict. That's my hope, at least. Certainly, we couldn't stand against them if they took against us. From there, I want you to head pretty much due south to near Bilos Gap. That's the range of the Morakanth. Now, Delenda, you know something about this. The local knowledge plays here. Morakanth are not people. They are one of what is called the beast folk. When Waha gave the tribes their riding animals, he also blessed some beasts with the intelligence equivalent to humans. So the Morakanths are not people, but they are to be honored, just as any human would be. The Morakanth are one of the most populous tribes, says Dane. So you need to be careful. You know, we must not make an enemy of the Morakanth. There are too many of them. You know, I don't care if you find it difficult dealing with people who aren't people. I don't want the Morakanth offended. And he looks each of you in the eye. Do you understand this? From there, make your way down into the valley. And this valley is a little bit like, you know, a kind of low-scale Grand Canyon. Fairly sheer cliffs with kind of flat areas stepped up. So you're going to go down Bilos Gap. You should be able to find, if you follow the South Bog, we're told there's something called the Easy Ford. You should be able to find the Easy Ford across the river. Down here. From there, I want you to go up onto the highlands, head up a little bit. You will see there's a tower. Don't mess with the tower. Local legend says a vampire lives there. My Lord Duke does not want to antagonize anyone, let alone a vampire at this point. So beware the tower. Skirt it. Yeah?
How reliable is this map? Is this accurate? How?
It's the best map I have, he says.
Okay. And I'll look to who was local. Was it Delenda?
Delenda, I mean, you know, the Praxian tribes tend to measure distance in how far a bison can go in one day.
Yeah, I was about to say something like we navigate by terrain and stars, so we don't try to presume we can capture the work of Waha on a piece of paper. But if you were to try, I suppose this is as good as any human can do.
The general layout would fit with your local knowledge, Delenda. Though it must be said, this is kind of the far west of the Praxian Beast Riders. You see on the map there, the Beast Riders tend to be on this upper plain and away to the east. So this is the edge of your knowledge, but, you know, better than nothing. So ignore the tower, head up towards these Condor Crags. I'm interested in them. I'd be curious to know if they're climbable, because it strikes me they'd make very good lookout points. You know, if some of the tribes of Prax take against us, that would be a good place to observe them coming early. From there, make your way along the Eastern Highlands and then back down to the Great Bog. I'm told the river's not difficult to ford at that area either. And then we will meet you at the village of Vice at the top of Vice Cut. It shouldn't take you more than 4 or 5 days. Any questions? Doesn't seem there are any questions. If any questions arise, we will flash back to ask them. Okay? But I'm struck by the fact it is now 2 minutes to the hour. I'm going to suggest that we take a break now. I'll stop sharing the map. I'll take a break now. Back in our seats about 5 past the hour. And we'll play through till finish. Okay? See you in about 5 past. Back from our last break. And so, there were no questions at that point. If any crop up, we can always flash back to you asking Dane any questions about the job. But yeah, it's from Horngate to Vice, the caves above Vice Gap. And you're only perhaps an hour or two out of Horngate on your way kind of northeast. When out of the heat haze, you can see a group of people walking in your general direction. Where's the... Oh, and I just noticed, Mona, you chose skill tough. You can increase your health from 10 to 14.
Yeah.
And Inkarne, you can return your health to 10 because you get one back after a scene later. You know, it was a reminder for the bruising. We have awareness in play, I think. So I think, Jandetin, I'll come to you to ask what you can make of this group of people walking through the desert, the scrub. 2d6 plus wit, and awareness is in play.
7.
7. So that's 7 plus, and hang on, check the rules, Reese. You wrote them. Well, you adapted them. If you have the skill, any 7 grants an extra choice on the list. So you can ask me 2 things about what you see. I will tell you one thing, then you can ask me something else. Yeah.
Do they have their weapons out?
They don't appear. They appear to be in a line. Right. I'll tell you that for nothing. But the first thing you notice is they're not all human.
Okay.
And not only are they not all human, Delenda, I think when the question of Morakanth came up in the briefing, you may well have described to the others what a Morakanth looks like. And if you go to the NPC tab, folks, you will find on the second row of NPCs an example Morakanth, Kareel Keenclaw. They are bipedal, vaguely tapir stroke vague small elephant bipeds. Yeah. Just so you've got something in your mind. And you will see a group of Morakanth, Jandetin, leading what looks to be a group of smaller than human people, and some of them have a peculiar gait. It's almost like they're using their arms and their legs to move with. You get all that for nothing as your first success. You got a second success because you have awareness. What else do you want to know? Because you've spotted them before they've spotted you. Because you have awareness.
Are any of them carrying banners to show like allegiance to a god or a country or something?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, the fact there are Morakanth there, I think for nothing I will tell you that they are likely to be members of that large tribe of Morakanths to the south of them, on the south end of the map. So I'm not going to charge you for that one. Is there something you want to know about those non-Morakanths?
Are they just marching in step with the others, or are they like deferring to them as if they're slaves or servants or something? Or
I think slave or servant is absolutely on the money, because it looks like those smaller figures who are being shepherded on by the Morakanth are they're connected, but they're chained together. They're a coffle of individuals chained at the neck, chain, neck, chain, neck.
Yeah. Okay.
Delenda. You want to keep your distance or close and engage and have a conversation or otherwise interact with them? What's your thinking?
Yeah, I think I will turn to the other two and I ask them, do you want to talk? Should we talk with them?
Because remember, after you visited the Morocanth, you're supposed to go and play the same game with the Morocanth. So once you visit the Agamori, you're supposed to go and again proclaim the Duke's arrival to the Morocanth. So I don't know. What are you thinking, Inkarne? Do you want to close and interact?
Yeah, I think she does. Because I mean, can we assume that Jandetin is sharing what they see and know? She's I'm thinking she's going to be put off a bit by the people in chains or whatever. I don't think that's her jam. So
No, it's a bit close to home in terms of those guest workers that the Lunar Empire invited out of Tarsh to go and build things in the center of the empire. So yeah, as you approach, it becomes clear that the Morocanth are leading slave, prisoner, a chained group of, again, not people. Some of them are baboons, and some of them are really quite small, and they're hunched, and they're squinting. There's something called trollkin. They are the smallest variety of trolls who love the dark and hate the light, and they're just stumbling along, covering their eyes on this bright, sunny day. Delenda, you suggested initiating some interaction, so I'm curious, how do you want to interact?
Yeah, I think, can I tell who is their leader if there is one?
Yeah.
Like who is in charge between them?
Yeah, I think you can. I think that they're like many kind of tribal societies. The higher your social status, the more decorative is your wear. And while Morocanth typically don't wear clothes, they do embellish themselves with jewelry and other items. I think it's very clear. And you can see one of them comes towards you and is squinting into the distance, trying to work out who you are as you approach. So I think, yeah. And in fact, it is Kirill Keenflaw who is leading this group. So what do you want to do?
Yeah. I think I approach Kirill Keenflaw and I say, Honored Mother, what is the purpose of your journey?
In terms of languages, folks, everyone speaks trade talk. There is a patois that is common across the lands. And though his slightly pendulous snout makes some of his diction a little slurry, I think that he'll say, I'm just going about my business. What's your purpose here, Bison Rider?
I am guiding some outsiders on their business. You know how it is. They will be hopeless if without proper guidance, they will rot somewhere in the wilderness.
So you're here alone? None of your brothers and sisters have crossed the river?
No. I'm only here with my bison and the people I'm guiding, of course.
It's never occurred to me how a Morocanth would raise an eyebrow, but the idea of you being here on your own rather than with the tribe clearly is a kind of really moment. Jandetin, you see the interaction. Do you have anything to add to it?
I'm kind of pretending to be casual. I'm just looking to see if any of them are reaching for their weapons or already have them out, and just general threat assessment.
I think that Morokanth are not very good with weapons. They only have 3 fingers on each hand, and so the spear is typically the weapon of choice, because it's simple to use. But they are quite chunky beasts, and they're using their spears largely, it seems, as kind of staffs to just aid their progress.
Yeah, it's not threatening.
No. Inkarne, what about you? You were a bit questioning about the idea of beings in chains. I'm curious.
So, I mean, we're displaying the banner of the Duke, right?
You are. I should have asked who's carrying the banner. I tell you what, I think Dane will have given it to Jandetin, and he'll have looked you in the eye and said, "Swear to me this is safe in your hands."
Yeah, then I swear by Humakt that I will look after this.
Fine. So, sorry, Inkarne.
Yeah, so she's eyeing the prisoners, whatever, and stuff, and she'll ask, what of these I'm trying to think of the right word here. What are these
What of these?
Yeah, what are these, or what have they done? What have they done to deserve being in chains?
Well, they trespass, and in just the way that your bison rider friend here, if a clan's animals trespass onto her range, she would consider those animals to be hers. These trespassed onto my range, I consider them to be mine. They're no good to me, so I'm going to Horngate to sell them. The Trollkin make quite good servants.
I see. I apologize. I was to understand that your range was far to the south of here.
Yes. Now, I think I want you to try and read the Morokanth Inkarne.
Okay.
I'm not sure that there's much in way of a relevant skill. I tell you what, I'm going to give you the benefit of survival, because I think part of survival is reading animal intentions. And while the Morokanth is at least as bright as you are, there's something about their stance which gives you an edge. So roll with the benefit of survival.
Alrighty.
And I think it's wit again, I have to say.
So 8 plus wit 9.
And with the benefit of awareness, you're going to get 2 successes out of that. So, because it goes with benefit of survival. He is lying to you when he says they wandered into my range, and therefore, just as with anyone else who lives on the plane, what you find in your range is yours. That's not true. Do you want to ask me another question? Or do something else.
I do want to do something else. I would like to invoke my. So would Beast Speak be something that would that work with the baboons and or Trollkin?
Now the baboons speak trade talk, because they're as bright as the Morokanth are. The Trollkin, I think Beast Speak would be quite a useful thing to use with them. So what I can see you kind of riding down towards the Trollkin at the back of the slave coffle.
Yeah, so I think that there's that sort of like casual ride that you see, where and stuff, almost like that sideways sort of, and she will ask them, clearly it's bothering her because they're clearly in distress, right? I mean, it sounds like, because they're out in the broad sunlight and everything like that. and she'll ask them, you know, what has happened to you here?
It was just a mistake. We were traveling with a caravan. We were just domestic servants. And the caravan ran into some difficulties, and we were cut loose because we were just drinking their water supply. And we were trying to find civilization of some kind, or someone to help. And this person gestures up to Kirill the Morrican, offered to help us. And we woke up the following day in chains. And you can see Kirill and one of the other Morricans is kind of wandering back down the line to where you're having this conversation, and looks up at you and says, "Got anything to say? You say to us." Before you react to that, I'm going to just give the three of you an opportunity to catch one another's eye, because I think it's time to know which way this encounter's going. So, we can even step out and roll if you like, because I'm curious, Delenda, whether Inkarne looks like she might be getting embroiled in something here.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to try to stop her, if that's what you mean, because like, for one, I didn't know what she said to like the trolls, and for a second, like I know like if what Kirill said is true, then these slaves are hers, but I also know she might be lying, right? Like, yeah. So if someone wants to get to the bottom of this, I'm not going to stop them.
Fine. Jandetin, what's your thinking at this point?
I think I'll sort of stretch and flex my hands and just sort of keep an eye on these two, because I'm just waiting for one of them to give me the signal either way.
Okay. I will just remind you, Jandetin, of the briefing from Dane was, don't piss off the Agamori and don't piss off the Morrican. Just put that on the table as a reminder. Inkarne, what do you actually do?
She will smile at the Morricans. How many Morricans are there?
I think there are 3 Morricans.
Okay.
Kirill and 2 others.
I think she will smile at the Morrican and kind of wryly say, "May the blessings of Ernalda be with you," and then kind of back away.
Okay. And Kirill sees the kind of mood was going like, and just peeks up again, and he turns to you, Delenda, and says, "Then I and my goods will be on our way." There's a slight question mark in that, as though, are you going to stop me?
Yeah. I think like, yeah, I think I will look to the others, but I will say safe travel.
Thank you, Bison Rider. And if you ever get tired of guiding these people, I would offer a very good price. And he leads the coffle off towards Horngate. Okay? Jandetin, I'm just going to ask you, is that okay? Seems to be.
Once we're a bit out of earshot, I'll say, Inkarne, you seem troubled.
She spits on the ground in disgust and says, "They're nothing but slavers. But then she just kind of harumps and kind of turns away and kind of rides starting back along where we were going. So
we may meet them again and have a chance to correct things.
Okay. We're going to move to one of those kind of, drone shots a la Lord of the Rings, where we see you making your way through the scrub and dry scrub and desert on the way to Vice Gap and the caves in the rock formations at the top of Vice Gap. And you will see there is an encampment there. Quite an extensive encampment. I would have said there were several dozen Agimori there. And quite quickly, I won't need you to roll awareness for this one, because it becomes absolutely apparent once you get close to them why Dane thinks they'd be fantastic infantry, because they are at least a head and shoulders taller than the tallest one of you. And I'm thinking that's probably because Bison riders tend to be built, but Jandetin, you may be short, but you're powerful with that one might. So these are tall people.
Yeah.
And there's an illustration of an Agimori on the NPC track. And they have a very well organized encampment. You're seen by some pickets, some scouts, some sentries who've been located some distance out, and one of them just jogs back. And jogging back in this temperature is kind of wow. And by the time you've approached the encampment, there are quite a number of Agimori present. Delenda. Agimori are one of the Praxian tribes, but they ride no animals. They are entirely footbound. That means that you look down on them a bit. But the fact is that they can almost stare you in the eye while you're mounted. So, let's start with Inkarne this time. Inkarne, how do we start this interaction?
I think we should just, like, this time, I think we will just hail them with greetings from Duke Rone. We represent Duke Rone, and ask for however you would do that sort of like when you ask for that sort of hospitality of the camp, right? We are representatives from Duke Rone. We seek the hospitality of your camp.
And I think those kind of requests about hospitality transcend pretty much any differences of heritage or culture, as long as you kind of don't mess it up. And so, a tall Agimori, which is to say someone who is, 8 foot tall, strides forward and says, "I am Chaku Ironspear. I welcome you to our camp. We grant you hospitality and expect you to honor the rules of that hospitality." And he look each of you in the eye just to make sure there's no dissenting. And then, some youngsters will take your animals and just take them to where they can get some water, because there's a kind of spring near this cave, and invites you to sit with him and his elders. Who is this Rone you speak of, and whose flag you carry? Who's going to step up for that answer? Any volunteers? Did you just turn your microphone on, Jandetin? Go on.
Yeah, I'll say, he is a Duke of the Lunar Empire. He is setting up in, what's his face? Holdfast, was it?
Ronefort or Ronegarth. I can't quite remember.
Horngate, sorry. He's setting up in Horngate, and he's seeking to parley with the tribes of the area, including yourselves, of which we have heard good things.
And the Lunar Empire, we have heard of the Lunar Empire. We know that Pavis to the north and the lands to the west are in the hands of the Lunar Empire. We have heard that they worship chaos. Is this man truly an honorable man? There are rumors that the Lunars consort with chaos because they are kind of, they worship new gods. So you lot of the old gods think they're a bit suspicious, but I mean...
Okay. Well, I'll say, I have met him and he is an honourable man and he has hired us. We all follow, the old gods. I'm a disciple of Humakt and yeah, I have met him. He's an honourable man. I saw no chaos worship on or about him.
Then I will trust your word. Your name is?
Oh, Jandetin. And I'll bow deeply. Or
Jandetin of Humakt, I will trust you. Humakt is known for words of truth. And
indeed.
Bison Rider, your name?
I'm Delenda. I am the guide for these outsiders.
The Bison Riders are an honorable people. There are very few that we would fear to face a charge of, but the Bison Riders are among them. And what of you? He gestures to Inkarne. Who are you and what? Who do you worship? Which are the runes that you are marked by?
I am Inkarne, and may the blessings of Ernalda be with you.
Oh, Ernalda. Ernalda is honored among us, for Ernalda provides the game that we eat and the food that we forage. Your Duke, he turns back to Jandetin, he would offer justice then.
He seeks to know these lands and the peoples that dwell here. He is setting up in the fort.
If yes, indeed, and we would be concerned if he was not a just man. But you say he is a just man. Or did I misunderstand?
I have not known him long. What I have seen and what I have heard, yes.
Then I seek your Duke's justice.
What do you mean by that? You seek his aid in some way, or?
I do. I seek his arbitration. I seek him to make a judgment on our behalf.
To deal with another tribe, or to deal with a situation you need help with?
A situation I need help with that involves another tribe.
I'll say this could be an opportunity, so sure, we will help if we can.
The Morakanth have kidnapped 2 of my warriors. I want your Duke to get them back. What say you, Jandetin of Humakt?
I guess.
I think at this point, I kind of, do we have a table or are we sitting on the?
I think you're sitting on the ground.
Yeah, I think I'll glance to the other 2 to get any sort of reading on their face.
I think I slapped the ground and say, this is outrageous. To steal warriors instead of facing them in battle. If this is true, then the laws of Waha must punish them.
Then I would ask you to come with me to confront the Morakanth who I believe did this thing, that we may get my warriors back. Inkarne, what's your feeling?
Yeah, I think she's in for this.
Okay. Do you want to do anything else with the Agimori, or I'm inclined to do a sharp cut here? a sharp cut that sees you approaching a Morakanth camp around
Yeah, yeah.
Bilos Gap to the south.
Yeah, I don't have anything I want to do
Um,
before that. Yeah.
And as you approach, and this is a Morakanth camp, so there are several hundred Morakanth here, along with an awful lot of people. And as you approach the camp, there are people scattered all over the place. Human people on this occasion, human animals on this occasion. And they're sat on the ground, just, eating grass and bits of bush. And as you pass, they look up, blank-eyed at you, and then go back to eating. Delenda, you know that in the same way that you keep herds of animals, beasts that you ride, you have herds of bison, the Morakanth keep herds of people. But they are no longer people. Waha granted the Morakanth the right to a ritual that converts people into beast men, which is to say, their intelligence is taken away. They are rendered into animals.
Yikes.
You know that. That was granted by Waha to the Morakanth at the same time that Waha granted your tribe overseership of the bison. The relationship between you and your bison is akin to that between Morakanth and their beastmen. Okay, just for background. Inkarne, you don't know that. These people are gazing at you like cattle as you move. And, as the horses, they kind of just drift away from you the way that, cattle would drift away from a four-wheel drive as it went through a herd. And there, coming out of the Morakanth to meet you, is Kirill Keenclaw. What, if anything, do you do, Inkarne? Or is that where we end this episode?
I think the only thing I think I see her as they're riding through here, right? And she's trying to talk to the people, right? Like she's trying to talk to them, and of course they just kind of, like you said, they just kind of drift away like cattle or like you would,
empty-eyed.
And she's really confused, and she's getting a little. And then I'm assuming when she sees the what was his name?
Kirill.
She gets kind of she kind of bristles a little and stiffens up. But that's probably at this point, so she's confused, right? Like and not in like favorable favorable mood. So
Delenda, you will see that reaction from Inkarne. Do you explain to her what she's seeing?
Yeah, I think like I do not understand what she's going through because I didn't know she didn't know, and I didn't thought about like this is something worth explaining. So I think I'm focusing on like talking to Kirill.
Fine. Jandetin, what's your view at this point?
Do they all just have spears, or is there any more sophisticated armor and weapons?
Just several hundred Morakanths armed with spears. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And Chaco Iron Spear and the two warriors he's brought with him leans down to you, Jandetin, and says, "This will not happen to my warriors." And that, I think, is where we're going to cut this episode. Yeah, because I think that would be a nice place to start next time. Yeah. I'd like to do a quick stars and wishes, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Any stars? Let me start. I'm going to start with Joe. Joe, any stars? Any wishes?
Yeah, I think stars to everyone. I think the characters are interesting, right? I mean, we're just starting to get to know about them. So just kind of a general like interesting characters, kind of looking forward to seeing, how this how they develop a little bit or whatever. And obviously, Alan, thank you to you for running and everything. But I'm excited. Glorantha's and the Rune, this side of the pond, we were more of a D&D than so I'm excited about the whole Bronze Age kind of vibe. It's a little bit different, so that's cool.
Any wishes for next time?
I don't know if anything specific. I think I want to think a little bit about Inkarne a bit, just because I'm wondering if there's a little more overlap between what Delenda is doing and Inkarne, around, if Delenda's kind of going to be the guide and that sort of stuff. I'm wondering maybe if I might refocus if we don't have a problem with that, because her whole thing is survival, tracking, etc. Right? So I'm just wondering. I'm just going to think about that a little bit between now and next time. If we have a little bit more overlap, and maybe focus her skill something a little bit differently. So,
I mean, I don't know what Mona thinks. I mean, it seems to me what Mona's doing is pitching to the locals that she's the guide to make herself different, whereas in fact her skill set is not particularly guide-like.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I mean, am I getting that right, Mona? Are you pitching it as the guide as a kind of social thing almost?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me go then. Blake, any stars, any wishes?
Stars, yeah, it's good. It's definitely got its own vibe. It's not, it's just a different D&D setting. No, this is clearly different. So that's good. It's a refreshing change. Wishes, I don't know. I feel like we've got this gear and these spirit magic, and we haven't used them. That we haven't had a chance to show them in the foreground, sort of thing. And we've just started, but that would be cool if that could happen at some point.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. And Mona, any stars, any wishes?
Yeah. I like for a star, we are more focusing on like the social political part of like this endeavor, instead of just going into place and start killing random things without any reason. That's more like the D&D I know. So at least we are trying the diplomatic option first. But yeah, which like I will echo what Blake said, that maybe not like necessarily the magical item, but I want to engage with the mechanic more, because I have not played World of Dungeon, and you have made this hack, and I'm interested to see how it works. So like I know there's only one move for action, but there are also things like harm and magic, and like making an action when you have a relevant skill versus when you don't. So I'm interested to see how it all work out. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll be honest with you, deliberately today, I didn't want to throw too many high stakes stuff at you, because I wanted to try and embed us a bit in the culture and feel of the place. But yeah, absolutely. Next time, well, you have a very difficult problem to solve here, guys. So it's going to be interesting to see how you're going to come at solving the problem that you are now faced with, which is two people that you don't want to annoy, both of whom seem to think they have the right to a couple of people. And we'll explore that more next time. In terms of stars from me, thank you all for, patiently, as I try to see whether the mechanics actually work. So thank you for that. And also stars, some specific stars. When I think Mona Delenda said something in that early conversation, honor the spirit of that which you kill. That is so Waha, right? because back in the day, Waha was called Waha the Butcher, and there's all kinds of RuneQuest rites around when you kill an animal, you do it in this way so that their spirit goes peacefully. So you intuited that beautifully. Thank you. Likewise, Inkarne's they may just be Trollkin, but that doesn't mean you can just chain them up in the sun. You know? Great. And thanks, Blake, for leaning into the whole Humakt thing with Dave. That was worth its weight in gold. And yes, I hope to confront you with rather more high-stakes situations next time. But until then, I'm going to stop the recording. Oh, sorry. Yes, I'm going to stop the recording first. Yes.